Stewie's wild schemes and sharp tongue often land him in trouble, but sometimes the baby genius gets exactly what he deserves. Let's dive into the times when Stewie Griffin got what he deserved. Peter was sitting on the couch watching TV with Brian and Stewie. Peter was laughing at some weird jokes, the kind only Peter laughs at. Brian said, "I could do better comedy just by using a newspaper in my brain," obviously trying to sound smart. Stewie cut him off and said Brian was old-fashioned, like a grandpa stuck in the past.
All the best comedy is on Twitter now.
Really?
Yeah, stand-up is so 20 years ago. Twitter's only 3 years ago.
Stewie's basically telling Brian his comedy is prehistoric, like dial-up internet old. Ouch. Brian once borrowed Stewie's Twitter jokes and suddenly Brian got famous. Not once, but every time after that. Brian just stole Stewie's tweets until Stewie finally caught him. Brian acted like it didn't matter at all, like it was no big deal to plagiarize a baby's social media.
You know what? That's it. You and I are no longer friends.
Classic Stewie. Breaking up over some Twitter theft. Drama levels? Maximum. The next day, Brian went to Stewie's room to patch things up, but Stewie told him he was busy hanging out with his new friend because apparently no more friends are too mainstream. Stewie's rolling with supercomputers now. Stewie and his robot friend went outside to hang out. They were bonding like best buds.
All right, Lyle, one thing buddies do together is go to the movies and talk about it afterwards.
Stewie, schooling his robot on how to be a real friend. Spoiler, robots are bad at movies. Stewie was spending time with the robot and even drew a picture of him. But the robot had a surprise too.
It's an urban plan for a workable Palestinian state.
My word, this is very impressive.
So the robot's not just a buddy, it's a genius with political ambitions. Stewie's basically made his own mini think tank. The next day, Stewie walked into his room and was shocked. There were 2 more robots standing there. His robot told him it had built friends for itself because it was too smart for Stewie now. These 3 robots weren't interested in being Stewie's pals. Instead, they gave him a weird test. They asked for blue cheese garlic dressing sauce and made Stewie drink it. Afterward, Stewie asked if they were friends now, hoping for a yes.
Maybe. How about you throw it all up back into the bottle, but don't spill a drop?
Yeah. Friendship with robots involves drinking nasty sauces and barfing it back. Perfectly. Friendship goals, right? Later, Brian went to the bathroom and found Stewie sitting on the toilet with the lid down. Concerned, Brian asked what was going on. Stewie said his new robot friends told him to do that.
Ted R. says this is where a piece of crap has to live. This is terrible.
Robots aren't very kind. Stewie just got demoted to piece of crap status. Ouch. Brian told Stewie he would help him destroy those mean robots. Stewie warned it wouldn't be easy because they were super smart.
It's done. I sprayed him with a hose.
Brian's big plan for taking down evil robots? Hose them down like weeds. Problem solved, apparently. Stewie was busy setting his table in his room for his fancy little tea party. Everything was arranged perfectly. Tiny cups, saucers, and napkins, just like a real grown-up would do. Then, Brian walked in, casually like he owned the place.
Ah, Brian, you finally made it. I'm having a tea party. Sit down.
Yeah, you texted me like 80 times.
Because when Stewie wants you at his tea party, he doesn't just ask politely, he blasts your phone like a teenager desperate for likes. Stewie poured Brian some tea, but this was no ordinary tea. It had honey mixed in. Honey Stewie proudly made himself. Brian took a sip and his face lit up.
Wow, this is good. Where'd you buy the honey?
I didn't. I'm raising bees.
Stewie, raising bees? Well, even toddlers these days have side hustles way cooler than most adults. Brian's brain started spinning. Suddenly, he was thinking money.
You know, you could probably charge like $20, $30 a jar.
Well, now I'm excited about this, Brian.
They set up their first honey stall at the farmer's market. Stewie was running the show, acting like he'd done this 100 times before, barking orders at Brian. Business was booming, but soon they faced a real problem. Not enough honey to keep up with demand.
How are we gonna do that?
Steroids, Brian.
Stewie's answer to every problem: steroids. Because why not pump up the bees? Next time, the honey was pouring in like never before. Then a bee landed on one of the honey jars. Stewie talked to the bee like it was his coworker.
Holy crap, that thing just lifted a whole jar of honey. Oh God, you think that's one of our steroid bees?
Steroid bees so ripped, they've got swag now. Hoodie and all. The future is wild. Things got weirder when one bee actually ate another bee. They were gossiping about it like it was office drama. Yep, bee horror movie confirmed. Stay calm and run like heck. Brian and Stewie tried to escape, but the swarm followed their car like a buzzing army. No matter where they went, the bees were always there. Relentless.
What the hell are we supposed to do? We're surrounded.
Hang on, I got this. Meg, come outside.
Stewie's great rescue plan? Call Meg. Because if anyone can help, it's definitely her, said no one ever. They headed to the hive with the bees all over their tail. Then Stewie came up with a last-ditch plan.
Quick, we just have to get rid of the queen. She's in the hive.
What's that gonna do?
The bees instinctively stay with the queen, so if she's gone, they'll follow her.
Because every bee worker knows, no queen, no loyalty. Time to pull a royal heist. With the queen gone, they hoped the bees would scatter and give Brian and Stewie some breathing room, but knowing these two, this honey business adventure was far from over. What started as a cute tea party turned into a full-on bee war. Stewie was bored out of his mind. First, he went to Brian, but got zero reaction, like talking to a wall. Then he tried Lois, hoping for some attention, but nope, she ignored him too.
Lois! Damn it, woman, pay attention to me!
Ow!
Even when Stewie's borderline homicidal. Also, don't grab mommy's pants. Sounds like a warning only a toddler would get. But as Lois warned him about hurting her, a dark idea sparked in Stewie's twisted little brain.
She must be destroyed. With Lois out of the way, I could finally focus on my life's ambition of taking pictures of Madison County.
Stewie's imagination is as deadly as his wit. Next thing you know, Stewie built a drill machine, fully intending to take out Lois. But naturally, his aim was terrible, and he missed spectacularly.
Help! Somebody! I'm blacking out! Yeah! Yeah!
Lois stormed into Stewie's kindergarten to show the teachers his kill mommy drawings. Instead of freaking out, the teachers zeroed in on something else.
Notice anything unusual?
I sure do. His father's not in any of them.
Exactly.
Ah, the real issue. Stewie's missing dad. Lois told Peter he needed to spend more time with Stewie, but Peter's idea of quality time is, well, questionable. Once he left Stewie alone in the car. Oh man. Another time, he took him to a strip club. Seriously, during one of Lois's lectures, Peter accidentally hits her with a random object. Stewie finds it hilarious.
Hey, Stewie's laughing. Hey, you think that's funny? Hey, you like that?
Peter's apologies are as classy as his parenting skills. Oops, did I just call you that? It's a joke, calm down. Seeing Lois upset makes Stewie laugh, so Peter decides to keep going. Because apparently insulting your wife in front of your kid is bonding time. Parenting 101. Fail spectacularly. Later, Peter took Stewie to the park. True to form, Peter lost him almost immediately. Stewie ended up in the wrong hands.
Oh, well, a lost child. Looks like we've got a new recruit.
Stewie's new captors threatened him with Tim Allen Christmas movies, because that's the real horror story. Stewie was forced to sing until suddenly, Peter showed up, saving the day. Stewie saw his chance and jumped at it. With father-son bonding finally achieved, Stewie's next obsession would be with class and sophistication. But grass isn't always greener in fancier families. Stewie was glued to the TV watching a show about a fancy British rich family. He was totally mesmerized by it, imagining how amazing it would be to live like that. Meanwhile, Brian was sitting nearby, clearly bored out of his mind.
Oh, this is the fastest moving episode I've ever seen!
Stewie dreaming big while Brian's already checked out mentally. Classic mismatch. Just as Stewie was getting lost in his fantasy, Peter and Chris barged in, fighting each other with mattresses like it was a gladiator match. Stewie's perfect picture of a rich, elegant British family instantly shattered. Then the TV broke, right at the worst moment, and Stewie almost lost it. Not because the TV was broken, but because his precious show was interrupted. Stewie's tantrum hits peak meltdown. Lois's solution? Send him to the tiny TV prison. In his room, Stewie threw a full tantrum, biting Lois, then hitting Meg. Classic baby rebellion. Finally, Lois locked him up so he could behave. Brian walked into Stewie's room and was floored to find a fully built time machine sitting there overnight because, of course, Stewie traveled to the past to break up his parents before they could ever become his parents. His first attempt? shaving Peter's head and trying his best to ruin their love.
None of my attempts to break them up has worked thus far, so I had to up our game.
When subtlety fails, go big or go home, or build a bigger time machine. Eventually, Stewie's plan worked, and he was reborn into the perfect rich British family. He even had a line of servants catering to him like a tiny royal. Stewie is living the dream. Proper British stiff upper lip and all. But after some time, Stewie's shiny new life lost its sparkle. He realized maybe breaking up his parents wasn't the genius move he thought it was.
I miss my family, my dumb family.
Turns out, even a rich British family can't compete with the chaotic mess that is the Griffins. So Stewie built his time machine again, determined to go back and stop himself from breaking up Lois and Peter in the first place.
The Griffins are your true destiny. No, they're not. They're morons. But they're your morons, and they care about you.
Having learned that his chaotic family was his true home, Stewie's next adventure would literally reshape the universe itself. Time travel and cosmic responsibility were calling. Brian was lounging on the couch when Stewie marched in, all business. He asked if Brian had given money to him because, if so, Stewie wanted a check. Brian looked at him, raised an eyebrow, and asked what Stewie wanted to order. Typical Brian. Cool and casual.
Oh, wait, let me guess. Him.
He got you, Stewie.
Brian's playing psychic, guessing Stewie's latest crush or obsession. Brian left the room and Stewie stood there, frustrated. Why didn't Brian answer him quicker? The gears started turning in his tiny head.
I should have said, really? Why would I order your ex-boyfriend? And then I go like this. Ah, that's so good.
Stewie, imagining the perfect zinger. Suddenly, Stewie remembered he had a time machine. So naturally, he jumped back to that exact moment to try out his comeback for real. Feeling unstoppable, Stewie started dreaming bigger. Now he could go back and change anything in Brian's life at the last minute. The ultimate power move. Stewie went on a time-hopping spree, altering countless embarrassing moments for Brian. Eventually, he got a bit dizzy from all the jumping around and decided to take a break. But then, Brian showed up.
Stewie, I know you've been going back in time to embarrass me.
Oh, what?
The two started fighting inside the time machine. It got so intense that suddenly, the machine burst apart, and they ended up somewhere utterly blank. No time, no space, just nothingness.
What happened? Where are we?
I don't know.
It's like we're not anywhere.
Welcome to the void, where even time machines get lost and people freak out. After a bit, they return to their own time, and Stewie drops some heavy science.
It means my return pad's explosion was the Big Bang.
Stewie just casually taking credit for the universe's creation because why not? God of time and travel and all that. Meanwhile, a curious kid overheard that Stewie had built a time machine. Sneaky as ever, the kid snuck into Stewie's room at night to try it out, but Stewie woke up in time. The kid used a weird toy that made Stewie look less attractive. While Stewie was dealing with that, the kid hopped into that time machine. Brian heard noises and rushed to check.
What the hell's all that noise?
Brian, it was Bertram. He's gone into the past.
Brian's confusion is peak dad mode. Brian and Stewie jumped into the time machine just in time, but when they arrived in the ancient past, they saw the kid attacking Stewie's ancestor. Stewie jumped into action to save him. Stewie tried to stop the kid, but in the chaos, his ancestor was killed. But then Stewie realized something.
That's it. The genetic material needed for my creation is inside me, so I'll take Da Vinci's place and pass it on.
After sorting that mess, Stewie decided it was time to send Brian back to the future. Stewie's final send-off, because time travel etiquette means leaving your buddy with some pep talk. Back in the present, Brian found a letter from his past self with instructions and even the exact spot where he'd bury himself in a time capsule. Naturally, Brian started digging. Because nothing says wake up like an awkward baby kiss, Brian was confused how he hadn't aged during all this. Stewie explained the whole bizarre story. The Griffins found themselves at the fun fair, a place full of questionable prizes and even stranger victories. Lois pointed out how weird the prizes were because stuffed animals are just too basic nowadays. Chris won a carnival game and walked away with a fully grown homosexual man. Naturally, he asked if he could keep him.
Well, it's a big responsibility, Chris. That means you'll have to clean up after him and feed him.
What do you eat?
Attention!
Meanwhile, Stewie entered the pig competition, and not just any pig. but a ripped, muscular porker. Brian, disturbed as always, asked where the hell it came from.
Would you like to see it for yourself, Brian?
Yeah, I would.
Good, because it's gonna blow your mind like the Stereopticon did to Americans in 1910.
Stewie took Brian to his room and pulled out a secret remote from his locker, revealing the secret to his prize pig.
It's how I got the pig. You ever heard of the multiverse theory, Brian?
Well, of course I have, but I'm wondering if you have.
When a baby questions your knowledge, it's time to reconsider your life choices. With a press of the button, they jumped into another universe. Brian, ever confused, asked where they were.
This is Quahog, Brian. Same year, same time. But in this universe, Christianity never existed.
Stewie showed Brian future versions of Quagmire and Meg, complete with futuristic upgrades. Brian was awestruck, begging to see more universes.
All right, you ready to go home now?
Are you kidding? This is amazing. Can we see more universes?
Because pushing mysterious buttons on an unstable device is always a genius idea. Their next stop was an ancient-looking world.
This universe looks weird.
Yeah, it's cheap and somehow lazy.
2 universes of disappointment, because even Peter can't mess up this bad twice. And then they landed in a universe Brian couldn't even recognize. Stewie checked the guide.
According to the Multiverse Guide, this is a universe where the United States never dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima.
Basically a timeline where anime conventions are probably government mandated. They saw odd sights, Meg ending her own story and Peter being, well, Peter. Brian had reached his limit.
Well, I think I've seen enough. Let's get back to our universe.
Famous last words before realizing you're stuck in the Twilight Zone. Back home, something was off. They heard 2 voices coming from the couch. Turning, they saw Peter, but with 2 faces.
What the hell is this? This isn't our universe.
Apparently, this is a universe where everyone has 2 heads, one happy, one sad.
Perfect for those moments when you can't decide whether to laugh or cry. Literally. Brian, fed up with the multiverse madness, begged Stewie to take them back. Instead, they ended up in an icy wasteland.
Stewie, what's going on?
Well, from the look of it, I'm guessing this is Quahog, but during some sort of ice age.
Because naturally, the one time you need opposable thumbs, you're stuck with a baby. Frozen solid except for Brian's wagging tail, Stewie saw an opportunity. They jumped through more universes. A world where everyone's gotta go poop, a Disney movie, and the Robot Chicken universe, before landing in a destroyed world.
My God, this place looks terrible.
Looks like Quahog was vaporized or something.
Eventually, they landed in a universe where animals ruled and humans were pets. Brian saw a chance for a better life and refused to leave. Stewie reached for the remote, but Brian broke it. In this dog-led world, the Griffins were all dogs. Luckily, Dog Stewie had a remote and sent them home.
Well, this looks like home.
Is there any way we can be sure?
Mom, have you seen my Trapper Keeper?
The classic "Is Meg still a loser?" test. If yes, you're home safe. Before leaving, the human Brian from that world joined them, but now the question was what to do with him.
Maybe our paths will cross again someday.
Even across universes, some things never change. Stewie and Brian's multiverse adventure proved one thing: messing with reality can be fascinating, hilarious, and totally chaotic. And that's exactly what Stewie deserved. After exploring infinite universes, Stewie's next misadventure would be much simpler, yet somehow more complicated. A game of hide and seek was about to go international. The episode starts at Stewie's preschool, where all the dads have to dress up fancy. Of course, Peter shows up wearing a denim shirt.
Yeah, it's the fanciest shirt I have. But Warner Brothers wouldn't license their actual characters.
Because nothing says fancy dad like a cheap knockoff cartoon shirt. While Stewie is playing with a classmate, a teacher named Andy explains a new game.
One person hides in a top secret spot, and the others count to 10, then try and find him.
Wow, Andy, you really invented something new. Did you also invent tag? Meanwhile, there's a bidding war for donated prizes, and the final item is a romantic weekend in Vermont. Lois decides to spend a lot on it, for reasons that are definitely not about showing off on Instagram.
$600.
Sold! There were no other bids. You could have had it for $40.
Spending $600 for clout? Yep, totally worth it. Stewie, who loves hide and seek, hides under a blanket. Brian teaches him about better hiding places and a whole new level of strategy. Taking his advice seriously, Stewie hides inside a closed fridge. Brian finds him just in time and teaches him a hard lesson.
No, don't ever hide in there. Could you even breathe?
Later, Stewie wants to play again. Brian agrees but sets some rules. probably because of the fridge incident. Stewie is already planning to break the rules again in 3, 2, 1. Determined to win, Stewie spots a suitcase outside and hides in it. Enter Quagmire, who takes the suitcase with him on a flight.
I have a 48-hour layover in Paris, and I'd love to include you in my horny plans.
Quagmire keeps it classy, as always. Once in Paris, Quagmire finds Stewie in the suitcase while checking his sunglasses. He calls Lois to tell her what happened.
Well, I just flew to Paris, and Stewie was somehow in my suitcase. He must have snuck in there.
Oh my God, is he okay?
Only Stewie can make strange French street food sound fancy. Quagmire checks into a hotel, but Stewie demands to visit the Eiffel Tower. Quagmire shuts that down quickly.
Kinda thought you'd be asleep by now. I'm smart, but not put myself to sleep smart.
Stewie's too smart to nap, but still sneaks into luggage. Meanwhile, Lois and Peter are busy chasing Instagram fame. Lois tries to take a photo on a cliff and falls off. Gravity wins again. Back in Paris, Quagmire and Stewie have a surprisingly good time exploring.
You know, Stewie, this wasn't the weekend I had planned, but I'm having a lot of fun with you. Me too.
When Stewie and Quagmire get along, it's weird but kind of sweet. Things go wrong when Stewie, drunk, follows a girl and gets off on the wrong stop. Quagmire panics and calls Brian for help.
I lost Stewie in Paris. We got separated and I can't find him.
Quagmire is the adult here, but still panicking. Brian and Quagmire search and find Stewie crying at a cemetery. Brian praises his hiding spot. Stewie, hide-and-seek champion, emotional mess, and now Paris adventurer. From accidental trips to Paris to intentional experiments with nature, Stewie's curiosity knew no bounds. His next scientific endeavor would create the most awkward family situation yet. Just wait until you see what happens when Stewie takes his friendship with Brian way too far and finally gets what he deserves. Stewie feels like Brian is paying less attention to him, so he decides their friendship needs a big change. And by big change, we mean some crazy science experiment only Stewie would dream up, because nothing says success like going out without a plan and hoping for the best. Meanwhile, Stewie gets an idea. Forget normal stuff like dinner or talking, it's Stewie Griffin, so it has to be wild. He sees Joe and Bonnie bonding with their baby, Susie. Excited, Stewie invites Brian over for tea to tell him his plan. But Brian's not having it.
Are you just gonna leave it on the table?
I won't look at it.
Great. So I wanted to. You're looking at it.
Sorry, work.
It's not work.
It'll just take a second.
Brian's reaction? Totally missing the warning signs. Inspired, Stewie builds his latest invention, a machine that combines DNA. Somehow, he gets a sample from Brian, don't ask how, and injects himself with it. Then, with a big smile, he tells Brian,
Ryan, we're pregnant. Oh my God!
Brian's face says it all. Chaos incoming. Brian desperately tries to talk Stewie into an abortion. When that fails, he even tries to cause one himself, but stubborn Stewie is set on having this pregnancy.
You hit me! What kind of monster hits a pregnant toddler?
Because only Stewie can threaten Brian while asking for the favor at the same time. As Stewie's pregnancy progresses, it takes over their lives. Brian, though annoyed, drives Stewie to checkups, helps him shop for baby clothes, and even does a pregnancy photo shoot. Then comes the big moment. At McBurgertown, Stewie's water breaks. Brian panics and rushes him to the hospital, but they don't make it in time. Brian ends up delivering the babies, the whole litter, in his car.
God, I think another one's coming! I don't see it! I think it's coming out of my mouth! There's more!
Who knew a toddler-dog hybrid birth could be so intense? Racing the hybrids is a nightmare. Stewie thinks this is Brian's chance to prove himself as a dad after failing with Dylan, but these kids are unique mixes of Stewie's brain and Brian's dog instincts. Things get worse when they find some hybrids have birth defects. Maybe messing with nature wasn't such a smart idea.
We are going to be spending a fortune on schools. How are we going to pay for that? Well, you tell me.
When your babies break the bank before they even start school. Meanwhile, Stewie and Brian realize they're in way over their heads. Their brilliant solution? Drop the kids off at an animal shelter and go back to their easy lives. Because in Quahog, that's how responsibility works. Just as the audience is catching their breath from this madness, after the chaos of hybrid offspring, Stewie would soon witness what happens when loyalty is tested. Sometimes new arrivals reveal who your real friends are. After Peter and his friends tried some dangerous stunts inspired by the show Jackass, things quickly went wrong. Peter got hurt badly, and Brian injured his back while trying to rescue him. Seeing Brian struggle and worried about his age and health, Peter decided to bring home a new dog, a happy, lively one named New Brian.
I'm sorry I've been so preoccupied with your age.
Well, look, Peter, don't worry. Let's just forget about it.
Fantastic. And to help us forget about it, family, I'd like to introduce New Brian.
Peter tries to smooth things over with Brian by introducing the new dog like he's the family's shiny replacement. New Brian quickly became the center of attention. He did everything he could to win everyone over. Being cheerful, funny, and playful, everyone was impressed with him. Even Brian started to get caught up in the excitement. But Stewie wasn't fooled.
He's your replacement.
Oh, come on, that's ridiculous.
You're getting old, Brian, and they know it. You're no longer the cover girl.
Stewie hits Brian with the harsh truth. New Brian isn't just a new pet, he's there to take over Brian's spot. Feeling desperate, Brian tried to win back his place by showing the family old videos of him as a young puppy, hoping to remind them of his charm and history. But no one was paying attention. They were all focused on new Brian, who was busy sleeping and looking cute.
Well, I hate to say I told you so, but... wait a minute, I love saying I told you so. Doy! Hey!
Stewie smugly enjoys proving he was right all along. Stewie was the only one who truly disliked new Brian. He saw how fake and annoying the new dog was and wanted Brian back. So Stewie went to Brian with a plea.
Brian, you gotta come back.
Why?
Because new Brian is such a tool. I mean, he's so damn sweet.
Stewie tells Brian that new Brian's too perfect and is ruining the family vibe. But Brian just points out Stewie's own insults. Still, Brian wasn't convinced to return. Stewie tried to bribe him with his favorite treat, a pie loaded with whipped cream. He really missed having Brian around. Brian's hurt and stubborn, convinced there's no room for him with new Brian in the house. And that's a wrap on Times Stewie Griffin got what he deserved. If you want to see Times Stewie Griffin became completely traumatized, check out that video.